Hey, it's the last passive AD FNATIC upset, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel.
How did it come that you were in this team and then you went for one split to Vitality where you reunited with like nukeduck in your mouth? How did you end up back into that team? How did that happen?
Yes, I was in Challenger and Series in Schalke, and I mean, we were like smashing everyone. And then before playoffs, our team broke. It was like a lot of personal stuff with like girls and stuff. It's crazy. It's just crazy what happened. But there was like, yeah, our team was kind of destroyed before the playoffs. We lost to Misfits, I think, or I don't remember.
Yes.
No, not Mysterious Monkeys, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was Mysterious Monkeys, yeah, I think so, or Misfits. And then I was really let down by what happened in the split and how the kids acted, in the end. And I did get contract. I think everyone had contract from one split only in Schalke. And then Vitality contacted me, I was like, I played with nukeduck Yamato before. They had problems with the Korean guy who was Hachani. The guy who like won LCK, like he was completely crazy from what I heard. So they needed support and they contacted me, and that's how I went to Vitality. And I think like in the end, the whole great plan was that me, nukeduck, upset the Yamato, we're gonna go to Schalke together, or like to Vitality together. Like we wanted to play S4 in the end later.
Okay, because obviously after this, you did make the Schalke team, which later on people remember in the summer made the finals run. So it was cool. Like you got to reunite with, it was nukeduck, but now you got upset back, and then you had Amazing, Vizicachi. People remember this was like, if you look at that roster now, it looks pretty good. Like, what was that team like to play in?
I mean, the team was good. I liked everyone. There was like a little bit problem of Pride Soccer from what I remember, because he was a really good carry player. And he was like insane actually carry player. Like he played like Zed, Zin, Evelyn. Like he would stomp everyone. And that's every team actually wanted him. Like G2 wanted him, every team wanted him this off season, and we got him, So our managers were like, look, we are the best, we got the Jankos every other team wanted. But what happened is, I don't know, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the LEC started, they changed like the whole jungle. That now the tanks were broken. It was like only Sejuani, Zac in the meta, and all the carries except Kha'Zix a little bit were useless. So people would ban Kha'Zix against us every game, and then he had to play Sejuani or Zac or Jarvan, and he was like pretty bad at those champions. So he never really learned them, and I think that was the main issue in Spring Split. That we had a farming carry jungler on tanks, and he was always like highest level in the game, never ganking, playing Zac, which didn't really work out. And after we swapped Pride Soccer for Amazing, which was not like the great player individually, but he was reliable, and he would play tanks, and he would be a good, like, team-wise player. He would be a good team player, and we went to finals. So I think it was a bit sad that because I think our four were really good, except Pride Soccer, the Spring Split. And part of why he was not good is that he was still like inexperienced, and he was really good at one style. And his whole concept of playing the game was destroyed because they like changed the XP from the camps or gold, I think, something like that. So yeah, that was a bit of an issue. We didn't really, but it's also like the greatest players, they will always adapt, and they can play every style.
When you went to the final, you obviously played, since this is 2018, that FNATIC team that won both the splits and then went to the final of Worlds. Was this team tough to play?
I mean, every team with Caps is tough to play. Caps, I don't know, Caps would always make a huge difference when I play against him. So, for sure, yeah, playing against Caps is always hard, pretty much. But, the whole FNATIC squad was good, You can't say any of them were bad, but Caps would always be the guy who, sometimes it would be like 0-0, yeah, right? And same CS, and people would say, okay, this is like bad game of Caps. But there are like a lot of small little things that people often don't see that make the difference on like the pro level.
And then the problem was, because G2 had fucked up the quarters, you had to play them in the final of the regional, so you didn't get to go to Worlds. Like, when I did an interview with nukeduck, just because he's nukeduck, he was like, I didn't really care about that. Like, we wouldn't have done Worlds anyway. Who cares? Blah, 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 blah. Because he's just a weird guy. Do you think the same? Could you have won this match? Could you have gone to Worlds?
Okay, the big problem was that the way Riot Games were patching the game, this whole gauntlet structure, is that we played in finals, right? And because of the spring split, we didn't have enough, like we didn't make the playoffs in spring split. We didn't have enough points to go to Worlds directly. And usually in the past, the both teams in finals of summer would go to Worlds because we just had to be sixth in spring split and second in summer to go to Worlds. So I think Riot didn't think through about this, but the problem was that we played for like 3 weeks coming to the final and the semis of LEC, because like I think finals like 10 days after. So like we had 3 weeks of practice and we were like 2 patches behind. And one of the patches was like huge, with huge Aatrox buffs, huge Urgot buffs. Because before it was like whole tank meta in the top lane. And then suddenly it was like Aatrox and Urgot playing, like Wunder was spamming them every game in this best of 5. So that's like really weird system, right? That you play finals, you practice for finals for like over 2 weeks, and then in 5 days you play the gauntlet, and you're like 2 patches ahead, and the patches were huge. So we're like not practiced. We had like 4 days of practice. I think nukeduck was sick from some Madrid partying, and then it was hard, you know.
Right. One of the weird things about this is
actually I remember one story. It was like because we played like we're not really like we didn't know the patch that well when we played against G2 in this best of 5, and they did know the patch, and they played like people told us that Urgot is broken probably, right? And I think the first game they played Urgot against us, we lost, and the second game we're like, okay, Chach, can you play Urgot this game? He's like, no, I didn't play Urgot. I can't play it. Like, and we didn't have bans left. And nukeduck was like, just fucking first week Urgot for me. Just first time to Urgot, and I think he carried because that's how broken this champ was.
After this, even though, again, you've just made a final, like the team's good, you ended up in that scenario where this time you had to go, now there was ERLs, you had to go to the Ultraliga because you had to go like the academy squad of Rogue. And I know, look, obviously Wadid had just been to like the semis of Worlds and he was the guy who they had as their support. But if people don't know, I think like 6 games in or something, they just promoted you anyway and changed around the bot lane. So what happened? Is it not a blow to be sort of having to keep going down to the lower level each time? And you're not expecting like other teams should come and get me?
I mean, for sure. Okay, after H2k, it was partly my choice to go down to Challenger Series, and partly of the fact that it was like released late, because I'm pretty sure if they would release me earlier than teams like FNATIC or like better NA teams, they would take me, from what I know. But after the 2018 summer, I didn't have any like LEC offer, which was really weird to me. After playing in the finals. I mean, part of the problem was I played only like Braum and Alistar, I think, in this season, and I was like good at them, you know, and they're like the best champions at the role, in my opinion. And later it came out. I mean, a lot of people started playing what I did, you know, because when we started playing in summer, I only played those 2 champs, and it kind of made the meta at some point. But I think since we had a really strong looking roster and we didn't make it towards, maybe. And a lot of people's head, they blame it maybe on me, you know, because like, oh, there's upset nukeduck, Vizichachi, someone's fault, you know. So it had to be someone's fault. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to play in LEC in 2K19. I went to Rogue's Academy, to like a Polish team, and I figured out, okay, I'm gonna stay spring split at home in Poland. I'm gonna kind of reinvent myself as a player. I'm gonna like play a lot of solo queue, play new champions. Like expand the pool, so it will not be issue in people's eyes anymore. But yeah, I came back to the LEC sooner than expected, and they called me in at Finn after like 0-8 or something. We won like 2 or 3 games when I stepped in with Finn. For sure, we improved the team, but we decided that we're gonna get back to our roster, which was Woolite, Inspired, and Larssen for EU Masters. Because there's like no rescue after 0-8 already in LEC, so we might as well try to win Ultraliga and do good in EU Masters.
Right, as you say, even in the academy team, you'd already gotten to play with Larssen, right? Was he already someone? Could you see he had talent?
Yeah, I mean, our roster was really talented. So and also our roster was like really well made. So we had me and Wood as veterans. We had 3 giga rookies that, I mean, they had like teams for maybe 1 year, like Larssen played Challenger Series 1 year already, I think. And we had like Inspired was like 17 and Finn was also really young. So it was like really well-made team, I think, with clear leaders and clear like people who are supposed to be insane at the role and like the fresh blood. And I think we like playing together. In general, those 2 years at Rogue were for sure the 2 years I remember the best in terms of like team atmosphere and day-to-day life, how we worked as a team. So I enjoyed my time there as a player, for sure. And coming back to Larssen, he was a little bit passive when I started playing with him. So he was really good mechanically, but he was like scared to use it, you know? It's like Caps is like over-aggressive, you know? And then Larssen was holding back too much. And I remember me and Woolite, we kind of saw it after playing with him for like a month and 2, and we were pushing him, okay, dude, like you play against people in Ultraliga, they're like fucking master, like top of challenger, and you're scared to like trade against this guy, you know, just fuck him up.
What about when the whole team was promoted in the summer? You guys made this little playoff run where famously Splice was actually one of the top teams, and you guys upset them in the playoffs and kind of shocked the world. Do you remember? Like, was this team? Did it just come together? Was it already a team that worked? How did you guys get that far?
So remember that for Larssen, Finn, and Inspired, it was the summer. Like they didn't play in spring split, so the summer split was their first split together. I mean, this first split in LEC. And there is a change of level when you play from ERL, especially when you play in Ultraliga to LEC scene. So they had to learn, and like also me and Woolite, because we also like were half split, like one split away, like Woolite even more, I think, right, from playing in LEC. So we all had to get back to this level. And there was like a turning point, I think, where there was like 5 weeks of LEC or 6 weeks, and there was like 2 weeks break for some reason. I don't remember what was it, but it was just 2 weeks break, and then like 1 or 2 more weeks and playoffs. And I think this break gives us a lot. We could scream a lot, and I mean the young players, they're learning every day, you know. There's like in the beginning problem with like stress, anxiety on stage, you know, first games. So now he's playing against Jankos. He forgot where his keyboard is because you know, it's like Jankos for the little young Polish junglers is a big guy, you know. So there are like a lot of issues that you might not think about that are for the players, you know? And the playoffs was the time where we did fix a lot of those issues, and we could play our game. And now, you know, it's like if Larssen didn't use the package to the fountain, you never know what would happen.
True that. Right.
Funny story with that is that I didn't even see it after the third game. I thought we just couldn't end, and it was my call that we can end. I remember, and after I was like sad. I was sad to myself, like, sorry guys. I rushed out of stage when we couldn't end and we lost the game because I thought I lost the game of the end call.
Right.
And then I came back to the stage and I was like, for the next game, I sat down just like 2 minutes before the game started, like, sorry guys for last game, like I will do better calls this time. And like no one answered to me, you know? And they all knew like what happened with the package, and I didn't know. I learned about the package in the bus after like we lost this best of 5 to home, and they like Inspired was like, dude, you didn't see the package? I'm like, what package? They like showed me the video. I was like, holy fuck, I didn't see it, you know? So I just saw it after the game, after a whole series.
Since, as you say, these were guys who were rookies, and actually, obviously, the solo laners are even Nordic themselves, they're kind of, again, a bit more reserved, a bit quiet. Were you kind of like a shot caller in this team?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I was like the main guy who was talking, but I was also encouraging others to talk. You know, I was like often, I mean, okay, there was like big issue with Larssen and Finn not talking at all. It was even like 1 year later when we had Hans already. So, yeah, and this team, I was like the main voice. I think Inspired was talking a little bit as well, Woolite as well, but Solinus are quite quiet. But I also remember next year when I had Hans, we had like this big talk that they have to take more responsibility in game, and when they are ahead in the game, they have to like say something and give the team direction.
Since after this, you guys got Hans Sama in, I want to ask about this player, because what's funny is, maybe it's from earlier in his career. Earlier in his career, there was this weird thing people used to say. They used to say he was quiet and he was kind of reserved. But I've heard later from when Trimby played with him, for example, he said it was the opposite. He said this was the guy who had a whole plan for the lane, and he was telling everyone what he wanted. It's almost like forgiving in that sense. He tells you what he wants you to need from him so he can carry the game, right?
Okay, so with Hans, the story was like this. We ended the split, the season with the loss to Schalke for world spot, or not even world spot yet. I think it was close to it. I think we still have to beat Schalke.
Oh, right.
Again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'd have to still beat Spice again to go to worlds, but we lost to them, and we had the talks what do we do with the roster. And then Hans was really insane mechanically already. He played in this Misfits team, which they benched him they put him in the LFL, and he was playing with his manager at some point. But I never knew why, because this guy was insane individually. But yeah, there was this story that he's quiet guy, And then, when you look at Mikyx, you also know that he's a quiet guy.
Yes.
So everyone was okay, how can they play together when they're not? And there's no voice from bot lane, How is it possible? And then I can't say from where, but I got kind of some voice comes from Misfits, from the team, and I was watching the games, and Hans was shotcalling everything. He was saying everything, Mikyx, he was the quiet guy, but Hans, he was saying everything. And when I saw it, I was like, look, if you guys don't want to play Woolite, or he's the second option, then I can only agree to kick him if we take this guy. It was Wool was my good friend, and there was a talks if we want to keep him or not. I think he did really good with us this year, 2K19. And there was maybe you can take Rekkles, maybe you can take this guy or this guy. I said, look, only way we kick Woola is if we take Hans Sama. And because I knew he's the best, and he was the best.
Right, this is obviously the era when, as you say, we've already got Mikyx and Hylissang into the LEC, and they're already doing all those crazy support plays and insane angles and hooks and right. Were you actually yourself? Were you close to their level? Was this a new generation? What did you think at the time? Because obviously, like I say, the old version of support was you just have the fucking wards, you do what the ADC says. These guys were getting kills, player of the game and stuff,
It was this 2K. It was this 2K19, those crazy finals, right? Yeah, in Athens. It was this G2 FNATIC game, best of
oh yes, the double
games.
best of five ones. Yes.
Yeah, it was this is where all this narrative came. Hilly, Mickey. I think. I was in the worst team back then, right? And I was in Rogue, and I think, from my eyes, I was good in this team, and inspired me. And my eyes were the best, but everyone was good in this team, to me, and. I think then in spring 2020 we had some issues. We lost to Origin. I think 3-0 even. We got stomped. I think we got fourth. But then in summer we were really good, and I think in summer was better than the other guys on support row.
What is it actually like? Go on.
I think it was me in summer 2020 me and Kaiser who were the best.
Okay. What is it actually like to lane against Hylissang? Because what's funny I've noticed is, even though even back then he would do the crazy ints, the people who always rave the most about Hylissang, Vander, are actually the other ADCs, because they always say he's the most annoying. Obviously he tries to fucking kill you and attack you and ignite you and do all. What's it actually like to lane against the guy?
Every time I played with a new AD carry player and we had to scream or play against Hylissang, I would tell him this. Okay, dude, look, if he does something you are not sure what is happening, just hit him. Just hit him and don't let him get in your head. Because this guy, he's doing good plays as much as he ints. And I knew it because I played with him a lot. But it's some players are just scared when something unpredictable happens, especially on stage. So, Hylissang was a bit of this psychopath guy, He wouldn't care at all. He would just do what he feels is the best, and he would go for it. And sometimes it would be a stupid play, but just because he executed it well, enemies did some mechanical misplays, didn't dodge that, they didn't use this skill when they should, and it worked. So I would say Hylissang is a special case in general. I personally, I don't think I had like huge issues playing against him. I was always more worried what my teams are gonna do. I remember once I played like best of 5 against Miffy, and Trash was like not really a meta pick, but I played it sometimes. I was like, as you said, I was like famous for my Trash, and they banned Trash 5 games. It was like this when I played Nation against Origin, and we actually wanted to play Trash when it was not meta, right? And I asked Miffy like, you were scared of my Trash or what? And he was like, no, I wasn't scared, but I was scared my teammates are gonna into your Trash. So this was like the same with Hylissang, I knew, I kinda could feel this guy, but I was scared my teammates gonna into him, especially the AD, because as you said, like the AD carries were kind of scared of him because of his, he was unpredictable.
The next split, like you said, the summer split of that year was the one where in the regular season, your team was first. You won the most games, right? Even though we've been talking, there's a progression, leveling up the sort of players, getting the roster better and better. How does this team come first in the regular season? Like, were you actually the best team before the playoffs?
Yeah, I think we were the best team before playoffs. And I mean, also like you have to remember, G2 was a bit worse than they were in playoffs. So for sure, in the regular, we were the best in my eyes. And then we kind of dropped the ball for playoffs against FNATIC because there was some shift. I think APL did it first, that they started playing like Nidalee. So like AP junglers with AD mids like Lucian, or like there are also other part was like Graves. So pretty much in EU the meta was you played Sett, Sejuani, and like ganking a lot. Like Inspired Youngs just gank everywhere, We played for Herald, swaps, and play for bot lane. But in LPL they played carry style. And we knew we kind of expected FNATIC is gonna play this carry style, And I wanted to match it. That I was like, okay, guys, like you play against self-play and Nemesis, like you will beat them if you do the same as they do. But I remember Larssen, I think at some didn't want to do it. They said we should just stick to what we do well, and we did get kind of stumped 3-0 by them, And then after we got 3-0, I was like, guys, trust me, we have to play carry jungle and like feel. So pretty much you can like play carry jungle and then you just pick Orianna for like Graves or Lucian for Evelyn, this type of champions. Like Lee Sin as well, I think was played like Syndra. Or it was like Hecarim as well. And I kind of forced it and it worked, Like we beat Bad Lions, I think 3-0. Then we qualified to Worlds and then you had this like very close game with G2. I think we lost 3-2 again or something like that.
Yes. By the way, I should ask now about Freddy122, the coach of Rogue. What was this guy like to work with? Because, by the way, he still doesn't do any interviews. So it's only from these interviews we can find out. No one knows what this guy's like.
I mean, this guy's pretty chill, He's a chill guy. He's not like a coach like Broly would be or Yamato that would get angry at you when you do something wrong and like try to punish you, right? Like you can't really punish a player in esports, doesn't really work. But you can't do like anything. So I mean, you can bench, if you have other players, you can bench him, but most of the time you don't have other players. So yeah, he would be like a chill guy. The team. I remember we would. I was like also kind of. I would say me and Hans were kind of leaders of this team. Also, like Inspired was quite vocal as well. So like talk about what you wanna pick, draft, stuff like this with the coaches a lot. I don't think he had like a huge impact on the team in general. He wouldn't do anything. He did good drafts. He was really good at drafting. Freddy. So this was like his main strengths as a coach, and he, I don't know, often in reviews are like what is happening, he would just like show a moment in the game and like, okay guys, so what should we have done better? Like what I think we should do this, but what do you think? So he was decent as a coach, and he was kind of chill, and he had really good drafts.
Right, we know now that the group you got at Worlds, like you would never get out this group anyway, because you had Dabwon who ended up winning Worlds and JDG went to the semis as well. So like, these are obviously two very good teams. Going into it, was there a belief like from the boot camp? Was anything good? Did it seem like there was a chance?
Boot camp before Worlds was like really stressful because we had this like 2 weeks period of quarantine in China.
Oh, so right, yes.
people started freaking out, like being 2 weeks alone in the room in the hotel. We did have some arguments, but you had like Isma, he's like the in G2 now, the sports psychology guy. Like he was really helpful for us as well. Like he would try to calm down the nerves because it was heated at some points. I don't know. I think we could beat JDG, honestly. Like we had this one game that we could really beat them. I remember when we had like Oriana, I think Kalista Pantheon. I think we could win this game if we played better. And then if we win this, I think we could get through or like have a tiebreaker against them. So I think, yeah, that one was out of reach. Like they stomped us twice. They were just better, but I think against JDG we could win. And then our level compared to other teams, I think we were like up there, you know. Like if we had easier group, we would also, like if we had G2 group, we could also get through, you know, like them, for example. So for sure, I mean, we had like the worst slot, so it's our fault that we didn't do better earlier. But also, yeah, unlucky drawing.
What about, so obviously this was the years that you played with Inspired, right? People have seen since then, I mean, he's won the MVP in the LEC and the LCS, and he's won the LCS, and so people now know he's a really good player. But I think the thing that has confused people is he seems to have a very, very unique style of how to play jungle. Like he seems to have his own total vision of what he wants to do at all times. And it seems like, I get the vibe you've got to sort of let him do it. You just got to let him do what he wants.
I mean, I know Inspired from like the first steps he was putting, right? And in Rogue, I was teaching him how to play the game a lot. Like we were watching replays of like, back then you had this POV of like every player, or like most of the players from LEC and Pro View. So after scrims often, I would like watch with him, I don't know, like Jankos Pro View until like 2 a.m., right? And he was like, I was telling him, look, this is like really good what he's doing. Now he's, I mean, when Inspire was playing with me, he played on like locked camera and he never looked at lanes when he was playing camps, you know? And then I was like, dude, you have to, that's how you know when you gank, when to gank, because you look at the lane, you kind of see the pattern of how is this guy trading. Is he like using his, let's say, dash aggressively on some champions? If you see, there's like opportunity to go for it, you know? And he was just like jungle on locked camera at the beginning, you know? So I'm not saying I like taught him like everything, but I was giving him some tips, and for sure he grew a bit. Thanks. I mean, this like was part of my job as a veteran leader of the team. I like give him share some knowledge I got from me, from other players. I mean, I played with a lot of good players in the past, you know, so I knew some tricks. He didn't know it as a rookie guy, but he was like learning really fast. I told him something, he would kind of instantly either say, "No, you're stupid, it's bad," or "Oh, it's really good, I'm gonna do it." Like he will be already doing it the next day, you know. So he was really fast to learn. He was like playing solo queue 24/7. So, I mean, after like 3 months of playing with him, I knew he's gonna be one of the best.
What was the story again? Why just keep getting kicked out of all these teams? Like, why you get booted out now? You just go to Worlds. Like, look, obviously now we know Trimby's really good, but at the time you wouldn't do anything wrong, right? Why'd you get kicked out of the team or replaced or whatever?
Honestly, I'm not sure exactly. I think, I mean, I did a lot for this team from my point of view. Without me, we would not get this far, for sure. And there were some, I mean, I've been with Fly for a long time in different teams, right? I think there could be some bad blood here as well between us. But also, like, Trimby was a new guy, upcoming talent. And I guess I was perceived as getting a bit old already, right? I was like 27, I think. It was 21, yeah, 27. So I think this could be part of the reasoning as well. I also heard I had some like bad influence on Inspired on some things because some behavior wise, but that's like completely not true. I don't know why some would say it. I think those were like two main things, pretty much. But I mean, Trimby was good, and yeah.
When you went to this Misfits team, was that the main option? Was there another route you could have gone?
I mean, in the beginning, I was talking for like TSM, I remember a lot, but then they took like Sword Art.
Would you have actually wanted to go to America if you could?
I mean, if you get an offer from TSM and your other opportunity in EU is Misfits, you kind of go to TSM, right? I mean, I had like other teams in EU. So, I mean, it was a joke. But I had other teams in EU, like not, let's say, not FNATIC, G2, this level of teams, but more like the around the middle of the pack, maybe 7-8, like last split. But I kind of chose Misfits in the end. I wanted to play with Razork. I saw he is a good jungler. And I did some tryouts in like a few different teams. And I could feel this was like the best field. There's like Kobe, who was, I thought I thought he's gonna like be more open and listen to me, what I'm gonna say to him, and change his play a little bit. I saw Razork with like huge potential, and felt like this was the best decision for me there.
Yeah, even though obviously the first split was about whatever, you could see by the summer the same team was a lot better. And I always thought, if people don't know, Deficio was the one supposedly who built this team. He was like the general manager of Misfits. And I have to say, it's kind of like a shrewdly built team because, as you say, you've got two veterans in the bot lane who are both LEC quality. And then you've got Razork was like the prodigy in the jungle. And then the solo laners, like the hero guy clearly had skills. Like he clearly wanted to be like a carry. And then Vethio, people now know, like he was very, very young and he's had to develop, but there's clearly talent there. Well, give me some thoughts on some of these players. Like it seems like even though people maybe lost hope in the first split, now you know what they're like. You can see why he built this squad, right? There was real potential with these players.
Yeah, as I said, I could feel like the same vibe as Rogue, right? Like the veteran bot lane and 3 rookies in the top side. So also this was, I think, what was in my head back then, that maybe it will look similar. As it did in Rogue, I mean, the first split was quite bad. We didn't really find our footing together, but even towards the end of the spring split, we could feel that we are growing as a team. And it's always hard with the rookie players, I would say. Not everyone is caps that the first game on stage is going to solo kill Perks, who's like considered the best mid lane before, right? And it's like going to outplay him and solo kill him all of a sudden. Usually it takes some time for them to get adjusted and learn a few tricks and then show their true strengths. So I think we kind of, in the end, we performed good for the team we got in Misfits. We got like, we were close to like beat Rogue to get to Worlds.
If Inspire did do that bullshit Viego clip, yeah.
Yeah, Inspire got the pentakill. I remember.
And FNATIC was 5 games too in the below bracket. Like, you're really close, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we did good for this team. Oh yeah. I remember the best 5 against FNATIC. Dude, it was like, I remember it was so weird because every time I played against Hylissang, like none of us would often play like, okay, I mean Braum was like my main champion for a long time, and Rakan was his. So I'd always ban his Rakan to have opportunity to play Braum because like Rakan is like the best champion against Braum that people play, you know, like others, but Hylissang doesn't play like range champions, so he's not gonna play Karma well, for example, right? So then, at some point in this series, I think it was like a first pick Braum, all of a sudden, you know? And Braum was like not even that much played in the end. And then when the first pick Braum was like, oh no, this first time Seraphine for me. So I would just like first time Seraphine on stage. It was funny. But yeah, I think we just did what we could do with this team. We were close. And I also enjoyed my time. I think like Deficio and others took good care of us.
So what happened this time? Why then did you have to go down to the LFL? Why was there not a Misfits offer still?
I mean, I was kind of in the team, right? And they took Mersa for the LFL, and we did some like boot camp in Berlin to see. Like there was like academy and the main squad, right, in Berlin before the split. Like 2 weeks in December, and they said like they're not gonna. No one is like 100% sure in and stuff like this. And then I'm not sure exactly why. I mean, I think Neon wanted to play with Mersa more. He thought he like could be better than me. So they went with Neon. I played with Mersa. I mean, and I played with an LFL.
When you were in the LFL, I
But
noticed.
I was supposed to play in LEC before the season ended, started, but then they changed their minds.
When you went to the LFL, I noticed you played with Irrelevant way before everyone knows him. Like now he actually looks like one of the best top players. Who was this guy when you first met him?
Okay, I mean, Irrelevant was really good from the start. Like I was really surprised when I played with him that how good he is actually. He was like stomping everyone 1v1 in scrims. The only problems he had was this whole mid-game, late-game part of the game, right? What to do as the planer later in the part. So let's say how to keep growing your lead slowly, because how to play around junglers, because people kind of noticed that he's good and they have to camp him or he's going to take over the game. So then junglers would like camp him a lot and he would die, and he had to just learn how to play in a team setting a lot. And then he kind of did it in spring, and they already took him away from us in the summer.
What is the reason why you became a coach? Was there offers? Did you decide you were going to move on? What was the situation?
Honestly, I mean, I played like, I don't know, 9 years in LEC, I think, or 8, and I played like 12 or 13 professionally. In the end, I thought, I could feel I'm not as motivated, honestly, to play anymore. And I could maybe play for like 2-3 years more and be quite good, but not good enough. Or like, I doubt that I'm going to have like offers from good LEC team. And playing just for money in like bottom LEC team, I kind of CB8. So I thought it's maybe better to move on and start something new already.
Do you actually feel like your legacy as a player, was it satisfying enough? Like for example, do you think about the fact you never won a championship?
I think, I'm kind of proud in one way of that I achieved a lot, but on the other hand, I know I could achieve more, right? So it's kind of sweet and sour that. Bitter and sweet, actually, you say, right? Not sweet and sour. It's like in McDonald's.
Similar concept. It's all good.
It's the McNuggets sauce from McDonald's. So it's bittersweet, right? I'm happy with what I did, but I know I should have achieved more. And I think I could play better, and I was like good, and some people doubted me a lot. So, yeah. For sure, I should have won LEC at least once. I never won. So that's it.
Even though now Inspired has gone there and he's been there a while and he's won the championship and MVP, I actually was very surprised because I have to say, I noticed when I looked at the players who did go to America in LCS and who didn't, it isn't just money. Like a lot of people obviously got the offers where you'd get like $800,000 or $500,000, way more than the LEC paid. But I've noticed it also tended to be people where they were also from countries where they maybe thought like it would be cooler to live in America. And I noticed actually a lot of people like you, like Polish players, that's why I said Inspired's a rare example. I was actually surprised when Perks went, for example. Like a lot of the people I get the vibe who come from the countries that are a lot more traditional, they want to stay in Europe and they want to be able to go home between the split and see family and all that. I got the vibe a lot of people, it wasn't just about the money. Like I know Jankos could have gone 50 times, mate. He had like a million offers. Did you ever really consider any of the American offers?
For sure I did after Rogue, right? When my best offer in the EU was Misfits with like rookies, and like it could work, it maybe didn't. This was like the era I would look around for NA the most. Like in previous years, I had some interest from NA teams, but I always wanted to win in Europe and do good here. Was it a mistake or not? I don't know. But also, I don't know. It's kind of, for Polish people as well, is like the weather here is, or like in Berlin, right? It's kind of bad for most of the time. So the concept of like living in LA is like summer and it's like cool, It's it's tempting, this whole concept of life. And it's like kind of, I don't know, promoted everywhere, Like that's how happy people are supposedly living. So it was like nice experience, like living in, you're like from Poland and you tell people like you live in, I don't know, Germany, you live like Korea for a bit, in NA for a bit. It's a lot of experience. And I think it's like one of the pros of being esports player that you can travel the world, you can try experience a lot of stuff, like in a young age, and get a lot of perspective from that.
What has it been like to see the career of Jankos? Because obviously, like, while a lot of this was going on, he was just winning everything and having all his career. Like, even the idea that an EU team could ever even win MSI is like mind blowing. You know, what was it like to see from afar? Because you know the guy.
I mean, Jankos was like my really good friend. Like, he was like best friend in esports probably for a long time. So like we're like really good friends in ROCCAT, the first team. Then we played second year together all the way. Then we went to H2k together, and we just wanted to play together, stick together. After H2k, I think both of us, we liked each other a lot, but we both wanted to try new things. You know, it's like, how is it to play with different jungler? Maybe he's not as good as I think he is, or maybe it's time for him to play with someone else, like learn new things about the game, like new concepts. And just, you know, it's like this. It's just, I think both of us wanted to try something new in the end, but we still were good friends. Like we were talking a lot and like meeting in Berlin often. We actually, you know, it's a funny story. When I was in Misfits and he was like in G2, we planned to have a dinner together, like go out together. And, you know, it's like pro players, you often just play and you're kind of not aware of what's happening in the world. And we scheduled to go together out on Valentine's Day. That we didn't even.
Oh, you didn't realize, though, right? Oh,
We
right.
didn't even know about it. And you know what happened? We went to a restaurant. We walk in together, and Crepo is coming out with his girlfriend from the restaurant.
Okay.
He's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "Oh, we just came to like hang out together." Guys, but you do it on Valentine's Day? I'm like, it's like so awkward, you know. It's like
Sure.
couples in the whole restaurant. It's like the romantic music. There's like some
Right.
peer playing with the instruments,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
Like guys in dresses and like suits, the guys in suits, and like chilling there, you know, together.
What about when you became a coach? Was that something you always thought was possible? Did you ever think to yourself that I might want to do that later in my career? How did this move come about?
Yeah, I kind of thought always thought I'm gonna try coaching after I'm done with playing. Because, I mean, after H2K, I would say I was like a strong voice and leader-ish type in my teams, right? Okay, in Schalke, maybe it was nukeduck more than me, I would say. But after Schalke, for sure, it was like the whole ROCCAT and Misfits era, those 3 years, like 4 years. And I knew after that, I'm gonna try to be a coach. I was like talking with coaches a lot about how our strategy of the team, what we're gonna do moving forward, about drafts. So I was kind of low key also part of the coaching stuff, even though I was like super player like towards the end. Those like last 4 years of playing.
And what has it been like to coach in the TCL? Because obviously, if people don't know, I know it's not as famous as LEC, but there's always talent there. There's always usually like people who go to the LEC later, and there's often like sometimes Koreans or people who actually, I mean, I've even heard some people pick this over ERL sometimes. So what's it like to coach in the TCL?
I mean, honestly, the level is better than expected. As you said, there's like a lot of good Korean players that you don't really know, but you know, they scout them from somewhere, and then you see how they play, and they're actually good. Usually those are players from like the academies of the bigger Korean orgs, or like from higher PSOL players. So the level is higher than I expected for sure. It was like way tougher than I expected, like my whole team expected pretty much.
Is your plan, this could be a whole second career? It's not just a few years. Could you be a coach for 10 years, do you think?
I think it depends, honestly. I think, I mean, it depends how it's gonna go, you know. It's just like playing, you know. You can't really say, okay, I'm gonna be pro player for 10 years, right? Like, this is type of job that I think you just try to do your best and see what you can't really plan in esports, you know. That's like one of the issue, I guess. It's like more year to year kind of concept. You try to do your best this year. If you do good, you get good offers. You go next year and try to do even better. You know, if you do bad, you most of the time will get one more chance. You know, but if you get bad results twice, might be your fault. Sometimes it's not your fault at all. Then you get less and less interesting offers. You know, and then I mean, for now, I'm kind of trying to do good here as a coach, and let's see what happens next split.
I want to do a quick fire round where what I do is I'm going to ask a question, and what I want you to do is name the player that answers the question, and then give me a reason why. So, who in your career was the most skilled player you ever played with?
Hans Sama was the most skilled. I was really going back and forth for FORG1VEN and Hans Sama because mechanically they're both insane, but Hans Sama was like insanely good teammate, and he was also great in telling people what to do around him. He was not like the main shot caller of the team, but like if there was like something to do with him involved, he would like say really well what we should have done. And on mechanical level, both and him, like the concept of playing like being lane aggressive, playing for lane, they were both amazing at that. So Hans has like bonus points over FORG1VEN for personality traits, I would say.
What about who was the smartest player you play with?
Maybe nukeduck was the smartest, actually. So I think nukeduck was not, or maybe Overpow as well. I think them too. Like Overpow was like really smart, and actually, like individually, Overpow was worse than nukeduck. And I mean, nukeduck developed to be really smart in Schalke days. Like that's when nukeduck was really smart. But Overpow was like already smart the first time I met him, you know? And he was like the first guy I learned a lot about the game from. So those two.
Who is the best teammate of all the people who play? As in like for teammate aspects, not like just who the best player was. Who was the best at like being a teammate, do you think?
Yeah, then the Hans, definitely, I think.
Oh, okay. What about who is the most clutch player you've played with?
That's a tough one. I don't know. The most clutch? I remember Ryu clutched like one game, like he played really well. But then in semis he was not clutch. I don't think I had any like player, and me myself included, that was like giga clutch. You know, Caps is clutch.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I guess I was thinking only about players I played with, but Caps is like the giga clutch guy.
What about, as the last one, who is the funniest teammate you've ever played with?
Jankos, for sure. Like me and Jankos were like having really good mood together, like perma joking. I mean, that's why we also became good friends in the end, I think, because I don't know, we had good vibe together.
At the end of
he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
At the end of this interview, do you have a final message? Do you want to thank anyone or say hello to anyone?
I mean, there are like still a lot of people who remember me, and I don't know, like even in Poland, like going somewhere, like I'm still like getting asked for like pictures and stuff like this. So I want to thank everyone to like supporting me throughout the years as player. It meant a lot to me, and to me always. And yeah, hopefully I will be like good enough in coaching position that I'll be worth following as well, just as I was as a player. So yeah, just thanks to everyone for this like whole long journey, you know. All the players with coaches.
Yeah, dziękuję.
Yeah, dziękuję.
In this esports world, it can seem like everyone's against you, but I've always got the Schalluminati, my Patreon community, riding with me. And it is thanks to the support of the following people, this video and all of them on my channel are made possible. Matt, Pugnaccio Rakula, Ahmed Haju, Frisky, Tosh, Jensen Gore, Animosity, Toucan, Tobias Bernasconi. If you've ever watched my videos, you know now I'm going to give a massive shout out to Jerky's Minion, the main man. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? You want teasers? Find out who the upcoming interview guests are. Maybe you want to ask me a question. I tend to answer them at length in my video AMA. Do you want to take part in one of those donated discussions where we talk about what you're interested in esports? Well, if any of these perks or more appeal to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Schalluminati today, where in the description box below is a Patreon link.